Hi, welcome to Dining with the Diva. I'm doing it a little bit earlier this week, just trying to see what times work out best. Today I'm going to do two different recipes because when Angela requested that I do the sweet and sour onions, the Cipolline. Have you seen these? Okay. These are the Cipolline, and look, we get them already peeled. So all I have to do is with a little knife is just trim off a little bit of like the roots. But we get these already peeled, which is really lovely. Ciao Francesca. So I'm going to do the sweet and sour onions for Angela. And then my husband was craving the typical recipe that we make in summer. We cook them, beautiful round tomatoes. We're just getting our first tomatoes now. And we hollow them out and then fill them with rice and bake them in the oven, but we eat them cold at room temperature, okay? So I'm going to try something different today so I don't have to be staring everywhere. And see if I can follow myself over here on Facebook Live. Okay, I can. See if I can do this. Okay, maybe that'll be in stereo or something. Okay, yes, I could see then who's writing to me without walking over there. So anyway, so we're going to do these beautiful tomatoes, which I just got at the market, and they come, look how beautiful, they actually come on their stems. Okay? So these are not tomatoes we'd make a sauce out of because they're too watery. They're more of a salad tomato or slicing for like the pomodoro mozzarella. So what I'm going to do first is, let me get a little knife, I forgot a knife, is to start to make the Cipolline first. So what I need is a nice wide pan, and I'm just going to trim off the root end of the Cipolline. Now if, hi Heather, how are you? Oh good, I'm glad you got me. See if I go a little earlier. Now normally if you bought these and had the little paper on them, if you go on the bottom side and put a little X in the bottom and drop them in boiling water for a minute, then you could peel off the paper easier. But we get them already nicely already done. And if you don't have Cipolline, sometimes I do shallots peeled. They're really good. And if you think about this basic recipe is very similar to onion jam. So I've also done it sometimes just with like sliced onions, okay? And it's the same idea, but these are so beautiful. They end up looking like jewels, and they're really lovely. I've also bought, you know, like green onions. If they go a little bit fatter at the ends, I've just cut off like the tip of a fat green onion. But again, shallots are really beautiful, and they're easier to find, I think. But they're kind of big, so if you cut them in half, it'll work better. And I'm seeing right now that these, you know, are two totally different sizes, so they're not going to cook evenly, okay? But I'm just going to let them cook until the biggest ones are totally cooked. And what's lovely about this recipe is you don't have to do anything. So this is in my cookbook, Cipolline agrodolce. Agrodolce is sweet and sour, okay? It's almost done. And you want them to really just be like in a single layer. No, because they're going to eventually glaze, okay? So, here I've got them now, okay? A single layer in this nice big pot. And then I'm going to add extra virgin olive oil, which always is nice. I'm going to turn that on now. Let's turn that on. Okay. Then I'm going to cover the pan with water. Cover the onions kind of. So the onions are going to poach. I'm going to add a lot of water because those are kind of bigger ones today. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Okay. This is sea salt, so it's not very salty, so I can do a nice big pinch. Thank you, Charlene, for putting the page number up there. Do you guys see her adding the page number? Can you read the comments? And then the sweet and sour, I'm doing a white wine vinegar. You could also do red. I think apple cider vinegar at home is a nice tartness for this. be generous, okay? I like this. I like the really sweet and sour of this. So that's the tart. And then I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of sugar, just white sugar. I've also done it with honey and balsamic vinegar, which was nice too. And then my secret ingredient, these little, oh Mark, hi, how are you? Hola. These are the little chip-tailed chili peppers. I think they're called bird's eye chilies. And I'm just going to leave them in here whole. I'm just going to put 2 in because these are really spicy, and if people can pick them out if you don't want to eat them. Okay, so salt, olive oil, sugar, vinegar, sweet and sour, and a little heat with the chili peppers. Then once that gets hot, I'm going to add this. Okay, this is Muti, which is a commercial tomato paste company, and what I really like is when it comes in the toothpaste tubes. Okay, and this, I don't know if you can get this in America. This is the triple concentrate, and it's much more similar to like what I get in Sicily called strato. So this is what I'm going to add later to the boiling water, and this will melt down and make it a nice red. So I'm going to have kind of Chinese sweet and sour, but Italian style. So these are going to caramelize these onions. So basically, by the time the water boils off, through osmosis, the salt and the sugar and the chili get into the flavor of the onions, and then this little tomato paste too will help make it a glaze. So you can do it with balsamic vinegar. Sometimes at Modena they use a cheap balsamic vinegar, like what you get at the grocery store. I would never use my real balsamic vinegar. This is a 25 or 35-year-old balsamic vinegar that I would use in drops maybe afterwards. But I've done all different kinds of vinegar, so I'm just going to cover that now and let it boil. Okay, and then I'll uncover it once it starts to boil and add the tomato paste, and we'll let it go. So over here, I've got another pot of boiling water going, and this recipe we're going to do today is on my website, and it's the pomodori ripieni, the rice stuffed tomatoes. And in the original recipe, my mother-in-law did it with raw rice. And one of my girlfriends suggested to parboil the rice first. So I'm taking arborio rice. Let me show you, okay? Arborio is a short rice for risotto. And I'm just going to parboil it. Hi, Angela. So I'm just going to parboil it in salted water. Okay? Normally it takes 15 minutes to cook, so I think I'll just do like 5 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare the tomatoes, okay? So these beautiful tomatoes. Let me get my cutting board. So you want a nice big kind of round salad tomato, okay? And then you want to just take off like the top third of the tomato and keep it for a little lid. And then I'm just going to take a spoon, okay? Hi, Tracy. And I'm going to come right in here and just scoop out all these seeds and everything, okay? And then what we're going to do with this is make a light little tomato sauce to flavor the rice with, okay? So see, we have our little shell now, ready to be stuffed. So my husband was craving, he's like, why don't you do, like zucchini and eggplant and bell peppers and like stuff everything. I thought, one thing at a time, because we tend to do different stuffings and different things. I like these with the rice, just because they're really great for like a picnic or buffet. I like the bell peppers, maybe with more of a meatloaf and rice filling. Ciao, Nancy. Okay. And then zucchini, sometimes they're nice. They're usually done too with a nice, like even breadcrumbs and cheese. Some of them are nice just with a very light filling. Some are nicer with a big filling. Let's see, how many do I put here? 1, 2. I did a cup of rice. I may not need it, but the rice is good anyway for a filling. You can always do like a little leftover boiled rice fritters, like a little arancini are nice. Okay, so this is all coming out really easily. And some people that say they like to salt the inside of this, and gets all the extra liquid out of them. But you know, since I normally didn't cook my rice before, I like the liquid to be absorbed into the rice. So 3, 4. Okay. So thanks to all you guys that showed up. Hi Marilyn, how are you? So we have some people from Italy. My friend who's in Mexico on vacation is watching. What time is it where you guys are? How many people are on the West Coast? How many are on the East Coast? I'm trying to figure out when would be like the best time when I want to set up if I had like a regular day, or if I should just like randomly do these when and give you like the morning day before notice or something. It's kind of hard to plan far ahead when you're doing other things. Hi, 8 a.m. in California. Yeah, I kind of, that's my life. I'm originally from San Francisco, so I know what time it is in Tuscany and know what time it is in California. But I don't know what fits people's schedule. Someone was suggesting maybe I should do it on a Saturday. I don't know. Does it matter what day of the week it is? Tough time normally, though. But do you guys go, if you can't see them, do you see and watch them on YouTube? Because that's what I'm doing, I'm putting them on YouTube. I don't think it's that important to really, I think it's fun to watch them live because you can comment or talk to me and ask me something, or if you have any questions. But on YouTube, they're there whenever you want to see them. So, I'm not sure what's a better idea. I thought this would be more fun because it'd be more like how I teach a cooking class, just like talking all the time. And if I was going to do them just filmed, well then I could film them and edit them, and it might be like a different kind of an experience. So look, here's, I think I could get one more in here, okay? That was a good guess. Okay. So we're going to roast these afterwards. And really, room temperature, they're just the best. Angela, you said you make these? What, where's your family from that makes the Italian rice stuffed tomatoes? I'm just going to add a little bit of Parmesan cheese, the tomato sauce, and the rice, of course, the rice with a little tomato sauce with basil, Parmesan cheese, a pinch of salt, and then they're just going to be put into the tomatoes and covered with foil. And then I'll add a little bit of water around the tomatoes so that helps cook the tomatoes. And then they're roasted. I'm just going to check this rice. Let me check the onions too. Are they boiling yet? No, they're not boiling. Let me move it to the back burner, which is faster. Do you guys have gas or electricity? In Italy, gas is cheaper than electricity, so you usually have gas stovetops. Oh, sorry, and electric ovens, but no one really hardly ever uses their ovens. So if people want baked goods or something, they go and they buy them. Let's see. Le Marche. Oh, the Marche is lovely. Yeah, I've only been to, where did I go? I went to Senegalia, and we drove once and did a holiday in Le Marche. We drove up to Bologna and then across La Futa and into a really beautiful area. And Le Marche was really beautiful. To San Leo, which was really a lovely little hill town. Do you guys, Angela, you're on Facebook a lot. Do you know my friend Dwight, who bought a winery in Le Marche? I have a lot of friends in Le Marche. Electricity, gas makes me nervous. No, I love gas. I love the control I have on it. I have a hard time when I go back to America and people have electricity. Because with gas, you turn it off and the heat stops. With electricity, you turn it and it kind of just like slowly goes away. I'm not sure with those new glass tops now. So let's check this rice and see how it is. It's been almost 5 minutes. It's probably going to be better than what I was doing. Let me just drain this. Okay, and then we'll make our quick little sauce. get all the rice out of here. Thought we'd do this in real time so you'd see how long it really takes. I think in the oven it'll just take like half an hour for the tomatoes. And I've drained my my rice here. And now we're going to make that little tomato sauce simply by adding olive oil and then a little bit of garlic. Where'd my garlic clove go? So this is, we don't really use a lot of garlic. Dwight who? Oh, well, I'll send you his link. Dwight is originally from Kansas City. He was I think a surgeon or something, and quit and came to Italy to the Slow Food University for Food, got his degree in gastronomy, and while he was there decided to stay here. And with one of the guys he met in his program, they bought a B&B in Le Marche and decided to turn it into a winery. So he's making these very beautiful, unusual wines with his partner Raphael, and olive oil. Plus they have the B&B, but you can visit the winery. It has a beautiful, I haven't been there yet, I've seen the photos. He often has events and music. I'm just going to use half this garlic clove. Here in Florence, we don't really use that much garlic. And also when I'm down in Sicily, you know, I think in America you just use so much more garlic than we do. So I'm lightly going to saute this garlic. And then look at all the insides from this tomato. Look at that. Okay? So I'm going to let the garlic go. I'm not going to make this spicy. Have you had, this kind of reminds me a little bit of Mexican rice, the tomato, and cooked in a tomato sauce. I like that. So what I used to do is just stir my rice into this tomatoes with all the juices and then pack it into the tomatoes. But if I didn't baste them, some of the rice would stay kind of crunchy. I like crunchy, but it was it took more care. So I think this is going to be easier. Partially cooking, or also I bet Italian moms just invented this with leftover rice. There's also beautiful, maybe we should make these one day. I call them bread meatballs. They're leftover like stuffing for the vegetables. So it's breadcrumbs, Parmesan cheese, herbs, and then they add breadcrumbs to it, right? And they would stuff it in these vegetables or in meat rolls. In Sicily, they're in meat rolls. And we'll put this in here now. Watch out. Okay. And the leftovers they would then just fry as these little meatballs. And I think they're just one of my favorite foods. I make them all the time without stuffing other things. So I'm adding a little bit of salt. And then we'll let these tomatoes break down. I'm going to cut up that little centerpiece there a little bit. That's kind of tough. These are the first tomatoes I'm really getting. So they're not as ripe as the ones that come later in the summer. These are locally grown. The ones that are coming from Puglia and Sicily would have been a little bit riper on the inside. This kind of has a more dense core right now. So I just break those up so they really cook down. And it'll cook down very quickly. And then I'll just put the rice in here and cook the rice in here for a minute. Also, I'm going to add some basil to this. And then once I've added the rice, we'll add grated Parmesan cheese, which makes it really, really good. And I always grate my cheese fresh. I mean, of course, I'm lucky I live here, right? But, and I was just talking to Angela because she was asking about like where to get like extra virgin olive oil. And we were talking about like California oils. Well, California has some really good oil. The original California oil is from, were Spanish olives, okay? And so the, they were mostly at the missions. So, who was that? Who was the brother that came? There was a Spanish priest or monk that went up and down the coast, and they built all these missions there. And they planted olives everywhere that they went. It said Johnny Appleseed. And so the Spanish olives, usually the oil is made from ripe olives. And I remember my mom, we lived in Walnut Creek, California. My mom used to go down to Mission San Jose every year And the nuns still, my mom just died a few years ago, were making their oil and selling their oil as one of the fundraisers for their church there. So she would buy, you know, directly from the farm, would be buying the oil. So I'm going to see what doesn't break down here, and I'll take those harder, like there's a white core here. Let me just show you. Hi, Melanie. So can you see that? There's this kind of like white core. And that's really not going to break down. Junipero Cera, thank you. And it's got 2 R's in Cera, I think. Junipero Cera. And like Cera with 1 R, I'd be like, Buonasera. So I'm letting this cook down. I'm just going to take out these harder little chunks and just leave myself with that nice little tomato sauce. Okay. See these little hearts are just they're too tough. It's like that white core of the tomato. Oops, that just dropped. I'm not doing very well with those. Oh my God, but it smells so good right now. I don't think there's anything in life better than fresh tomato sauce. It can make an Italian cry. Remember Marcella's recipe with that, just the onion? We don't even do the onion, but when you have a beautiful tomato, my husband, all I have to do is crush tomatoes, maybe some basil, a little pinch of salt, let it cook down. And I don't know if you've ever seen these. Let me see if I have it right here. Where is it? Oh, right here, hanging out. This is the Italian food processor. Do you know these? It's like making mashed potatoes and stuff. See? Okay, so this comes with, it's called a mouli. This is an Italian one called Stella. I think it's backwards here on Facebook. Stella, and the French ones are mouli. And they have the different sizes to puree things. I like this one, which doesn't let any skin or seeds in there. And then I think this is putting it in backwards, where it looks like a little hat. You would think it would go like that, but it actually goes like this. Okay. Let me find the top. Yeah, so I think in French it was called a mouli, and in America, and this is the other part. In America, it was called a food mill. So also if you're making jams or something, so I'm going to press this in here, and then you would go around like this, and the skin and the seeds stay on the top, and the sauce comes out of the bottom. I'm not going to do this with this today, but this is to make the perfect tomato sauce with no skin and no seeds. A lot of people have a hard time eating tomato sauces because they can't digest that, okay? So that makes it really digestible, or the same people have problems with seeds. Someone just asked me about the red rice. I don't know about using red rice. You could. My husband was telling me to. I have quite the rice collection here. I have red rice and I have black rice. Those other rices take a long time to cook, much longer than the other rices, so maybe I would like fully cook them before. Okay? So now I'm going to take my parboiled rice, add that in there, and just let that absorb this tomato sauce. I don't know if I salted this. Oh my God, this is so good. So for my husband, just these crushed tomatoes, and put them through the food mill, and I would just add, like when I served it, a tablespoon of butter. And that to me is just like exquisite, and then the Parmesan cheese. So look, this is, and on my website I have a recipe for a tomato risotto, and we serve it just with, I serve it with a raw egg yolk on top, and you stir it in like a carbonara. But just look how beautiful this rice is. Just with the tomatoes. You see this? It smells so good. This would be really lovely with like seafood. I'm going to turn that off now. Let that cool for a minute. And I'm going to add some just torn up basil in here to flavor it more. And then we're going to add grated Parmesan cheese. Okay? There really is nothing better than tomato and basil, I think. Let's do a little more. I just got the beautiful, the one I have parboiling rice first. Yeah, well, my recipe too is for, my aunt was to not cook the rice first. And I think it's really harder to do, so I think parboiling is kind of guaranteeing it. Risotto rice too, arborio, cannaroli, and violoni nano are the 3 risotto rices. And they're plump and kind of a nice chewy rice. I wouldn't ever use something like Uncle Ben's or those parboiled rices. To me, they taste like plastic. Couscous would be really beautiful in this. So you think a tabbouleh salad. These are really, really pretty. Just get a spoon and show you close up. Look at this. So see, there's still some chunks of the tomatoes in there, the basil leaves. I mean, you could just eat this the way it is right now. It's really beautiful. So let me put in now the grated Parmesan cheese. Okay. And again, I use the outside edges to grate because it's the drier cheese. And then the inner pieces, we use that to eat like after lunch. That's our dessert is cheese. Oh my God, the fruit here right now. We've been having apricots and cherries and peaches and nectarines. And to eat this fruit that's never been in the refrigerator, today was the farmer's market. It's so good. So I'm going to add like 2 or 3 tablespoons of grated Parmesan cheese, freshly grated cheese. Let's get that in, okay? That's it. I've preheated my oven. So now let's stuff these babies, okay? So I've got my tomatoes right here. And I can see that, yes, they were giving off water. Can you see this? So I'm going to drain them first and then just put the rice in there. And the rice will continue cooking a little bit and should swell a little bit. You can also, if you really like, to put breadcrumbs and cheese on top and bake them, and we get like a nice crusty top would also be really nice. I'm going to get that water out of there. Okay. I'm not really packing it in there because it is going to swell up. Remember, I started with a cup, and I've got about 8 or 9 tomatoes here. Let me see. Oops. It's like a puzzle now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 9 tomatoes. So, but again, you don't know what size the tomatoes are. I think that's one of the hardest things about following printed recipes is you never know what size the ingredients are. Okay, so, like here I have some larger tomatoes and some smaller tomatoes, so we'll just see how we do here. Okay. Did you ever do that thing where you stuff calamari and then they explode all over the place? Cannaroli to make risotto. Oh, yummy. You have to toss them. Oh, they look like granite? Yeah. Some of these things are just horrible non-stick pans. You know what I just got, which is really beautiful? Let me show you. I was at a culinary conference in America, and this is a Analon American non-stick pan that's heavy. This is so fabulous. I'm using this now for everything, everything. I just love it. You only need like a couple of really good pans, and in the long run I think it's cheaper to buy a good expensive pan that lasts you like forever. Oh, the basil. It smells so good. I did really good here, you guys. This is going to be perfect. So this is 1 cup for 9 tomatoes. Look at this. Look at this. This is perfect. Okay. And there's like nothing really left over. I'm going to put this in there. Just a few grains of rice left over. I'll put them in the bigger ones here. Okay, that was perfect. Sorry about the noise, just dumping those in the sink. And then I like to grate more cheese on top. Okay? And like I said, if you wanted them crispy, you could put breadcrumbs too. And just bake them. Like usually when I do my zucchinis, I put breadcrumbs and zucchini and cheese on top. Or also the bell peppers. There's a recipe I have from Naples that's really good that has like the breadcrumb filling I was talking about, and then it's a roasted red pepper peeled and then soft roasted, wrapped around it, and then there's Parmesan cheese put on top and done in the oven. That's really good. It's from the restaurant Mimi alla Ferrovia, which is a trattoria right by the train station in Naples. It's really, really, really good. And again, something really nice to serve at a room temperature. Okay? So this is what they look like right now. Okay? Yeah, you have to fight my husband. He's real like. And then you put the tops back on. Okay? That's a puzzle here. The bigger ones are kind of easy to figure out. That's not bad. Okay, look, I did it. Okay, that was perfect. Okay, and now, like that, and now I'm going to put water around them. That's going to help cook the tomatoes, steam it a little bit, and the steam will help also finish cooking the rice. So just about halfway up the tomato there. And then we cover them with foil. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. We don't use much aluminum foil here. All this stuff is so horrible. It's so skinny. Okay. So cover that, and we're going to put that in the oven for about half an hour. Okay, we'll see how long it can stick it out here. At like 350 or 375. Okay, double check that. Okay, now let's get back to our sweet and sour onions. I love things that you can ignore. Okay, I'll bring them over here where I was on high heat. Come on. Turn this off. Okay. So now the onions are starting to get really beautiful. They start to get golden. Just even in the water right now with the olive oil. That rice. Let me just show you. So I put this on high heat now to let the water start to evaporate. Can you see how, let me see, get over here. They start to change color and get golden. Isn't that pretty? Can you see behind there? So they'll all become golden like this when they're done. So we're just going to sit there for a minute and let the water evaporate. And while we're doing that, I'll add a nice big squeeze of my tomato paste. Okay? A couple tablespoons of this triple concentrate tomato paste. Just make sure you guys have all seen that, okay? Hi, Carol. Hi, Robin. Okay, let me stir this in now. This tomato paste is also the secret for the broth in my mother-in-law's minestrone recipe. Because instead of just having a white broth with your vegetables, it turns your broth red, which is really pretty. Let's see if you can you see now how that gave that a red broth? Okay, thanks, Lindsay. So now, patience. We just got to stand here and let the water burn off. And by that time, what you want to do then is poke the onions, okay? And the big ones here are still really raw. So we'll just let those go crazy now. Okay? So, the one thing that I would love for you guys to do is to leave, you know, you're already here. You guys are watching me and leaving comments, so this is really great. But the one thing I was asking people who watch this on Facebook to do, watch it later on YouTube, excuse me, is if you would leave comments on YouTube, or at least like a thumbs up like on the YouTube. I'm trying to build up the channel so people can find these anywhere. Because like about 1,000 people are watching them on Facebook. You know what, right now it shows me that there's like anywhere between like 10 and 15 people watching it right now, and then by the time I turn it off, it'll register like 200 and some people, but that might just be people that check in and then leave. So I have no idea how this works, but by the time it's been a couple of days, there's usually over 1,000 people that have, you know, clicked onto the recipes. One of the things you want to do here now is taste the broth, because this is your sweet and sour. Now right now there's still so much water in here that it's diluted, okay? So what you want to do is wait till the water boils off, and then what happens is when the water boils off, basically by then it's like magic that the onions are cooked. So the onions are cooked, the water's boiled off, and what happens is then the sugar starts to caramelize and make a glaze, which is just beautiful. So these little onions come out all beautiful and glazy. If you're seeing that's not really glazing or your onions aren't really cooked, just add a tiny bit more water. You could add a little more sugar. And then I start to taste for the balance with the vinegar and with salt. If they just taste kind of flat, sometimes all you need is a little salt. If they taste too sweet, you need more vinegar. If it's too tart, you need more sugar. So again, this is a very non-recipe recipe that you just learn by tasting. And it also, of course, depends on what kind of vinegar you use, how acidic it is. I'm just going to look at this right now. This is a 7% acidity, which is really nice and tart. And this is the a commercial grocery store one, but this is called the Antica. I'm trying to see if it says. Oh, you know what? Because it's aged in oak. It's aged in wood barrels, so that's what makes this so nice. Okay, I'm going to come see what you're writing here. Angela, recipe available blog. Yes, I do put the link on if it's on my website. It is in my book, but I do put a link on the YouTube and everything when it's not in my book. I put a link to where it is if I already have it on my blog. And then if you're signed up to receive my my blog posts, like last week I did the fried artichokes, and then I actually did a blog post on them, and so then you'll get that as like the it comes. I have like MailChimp to send out if you want to keep updated with what's on my blog. You'll get the updates on that. There's a search engine on the sidebar of my blog, which also then takes you. You could search for things. Oops, somebody just left a non-recipe recipe, yeah. Well, you know, it's like when you're cooking with the women here, how basically I learned was hanging out with people and cooking with them, is no one gives you amounts, and then, you know, cook till done, and that's just so true. You know, everyone kind of like scoffs at it because we're usually told, you know, cook for 20 minutes. And then if you cooked for 20 minutes, well, these onions aren't all the same size. So if you cook for 20 minutes and turn it off, this is still going to have too much water. The small onions are cooked, but the big onions won't be cooked. I'm going to just right now poke one of my smaller onions. See, this small onion is already cooked. But the big ones, oh, they're getting there. Yeah, the big ones are getting there too. Okay. I think I put a lot of water in here today too, just to make sure. Yeah, the artichokes. Oh, thanks for saying that, Francesca. Tonya, who's also somebody that follows the classes a lot, said that she found frozen cleaned artichoke hearts at Trader Joe's, and she made them with that. Francesca, did you have fresh artichokes, or did you find frozen ones? So I think that's what's nice about like the Dining with the Diva Facebook page, is people can exchange information about, you know, their ingredients and stuff like that, where you find them and what you suggest. Because, you know, we're all shopping someplace else, and I think it's really hard because the secret of most of these things are the ingredients, okay? These are really beautiful now. They're starting to get that red. The water is starting to boil off. I think I could take off some of this extra water because the onions are almost done, and I don't definitely need this. I'll keep it, though, just in case I need to deglaze them a little bit. I usually add less water and then add more at the end when I need it, so I'm kind of doing it backwards today. But I can see these are already getting the color for absorbing them, which is kind of that osmosis where they absorb the color. and the flavor. So that way they're flavored on the inside, like with the potato recipe, we cook them in salted water. So then when you go to eat the potatoes, they already have flavor. And the same thing about cooking pasta in pasta water. That's salted. The pasta already has flavor, so you don't really need tons of sauces. Oh, you got them fresh from Trader Joe's, the artichokes. French, but you're in California, right, Francesca? You know, California is a big artichoke producing area. Okay, so I'm just going to let these boil off here. Oh, I forgot. Did you guys watch what time I put these in? Probably 4 minutes ago. So I can also just later show you the tomatoes. Trader Joe's too. Yeah, it's the end of the season here too. It's the ones I got last week might have been the last ones, because also the people who grow the artichokes, a lot of them take those last baby artichokes and make. Let me see if I have any of my preserved ones. Hold on a second. About 150 little baby preserved artichokes every year. Can you see those? So we take the tiny little artichokes, and it's on my website. I soak them in red wine vinegar and salt overnight, and then I leave them upside down for a day to drain, and then I pack them in oil. And I usually wait at least 3 months to eat them. But these are my little artichoke hearts I did last year. I used to do about 150. So we can start eating those now. Let me wash my hands. So you do the big globe ones and trim them down? That's a lot of throwing away, right? Because sometimes you get the baby ones too that are really nice, the bag of the baby artichokes. Okay, these are really starting to take the color, and what I'm seeing now too is that they're also starting to like fall apart a little bit and give off the little outside parts of the onions sometimes come off. Don't throw those away because those are really, really good. They get all the flavor and caramelize really well. So we're almost there. I dropped some tomatoes here. Let me get rid of that. Every once in a while I kind of flip the onions just to make sure they get equal color. They shrink up a little bit, but not a lot. And so now as the water burns off now, or evaporates, we're going to start getting, I'm going to taste it again. I don't think it's really sweet. I'm going to add a little more sugar because that's really going to help it caramelize. Oh, okay, they're not too big. So sometimes I do balsamic vinegar and honey. Maybe even with like black pepper to make them a little different instead of the chili pepper. Hi, Bradley. Trimming artichokes. I have, Bradley, I also did a clean the artichoke thing in my, on my YouTube channels. But yeah, the artichokes, it's hard because in America too, they're bigger. And you may want to look at the Google on YouTube videos and see how the Romans do theirs. Have you been to Rome? They do the big artichokes. And they actually use a small curved knife that's actually for working leather, like the shoeman. What do you call that? The guy that fixes, well, they don't really fix your shoes like that. Calzolaio. They actually start cutting around the artichoke from the bottom. They leave the little bottom section, and then they go around and around. And as they get deeper into the artichoke, they leave more of the artichoke up and on there for those Roman-style artichokes, the Jewish style. And then you can also see how you do them for the Jewish ones, which are like double fried and look like roses. And my website, I also have them where you stand them up upside down with still some of the large stem, which we get. And you can stuff them with mint and garlic or something, or we do parsley in Florence, but in Sicily they do garlic with mint. And they stand up and cook. And if you ever come here in the artichoke season at Cibreo restaurant, which is Fabio Picchi's restaurant, he does a olive oil mashed potatoes. I think it has Parmesan cheese in the potatoes. And then he takes the beautiful, we call them carciofi ricci. They're artichokes that are cooked standing up, so upside down with their stems up. And then he has those already cooked, which he braises in oil. And then he makes a little hole in the mashed potatoes, puts in an egg yolk, and puts the artichoke back on top. So you cut through the artichoke, and then the egg yolk breaks on the hot potatoes. It's so much better than Eggs Benedict. It's really, really good. It's really decadent. Okay, these are getting kind of translucent now. They're getting more color. Let's see how my flavor is now. Okay, yeah, now I have more of the sweet and sour. So we're almost glazed here. Again, this is one of those things that, you kind of like to have 2 or 3 things going at a time here, because otherwise it's a waste of time. When you're in the kitchen, your Italian mama has like the pasta water boiling. We don't really eat like that. We don't have a first course and a main course and a vegetable and a dessert. We usually have, a main course and a vegetable, or have pasta. But an Italian mom would have, excuse me, the water going for the pasta, ragu on the stove going, and then maybe a roast, or for a quick lunch you just get like little thin slices of meat or chicken or something. Vegetables, you saw when I did the spinach and ricotta flan, we can buy the spinach pre-cooked, so that's easy to just do garlic, olive oil, spinach. If you want to do potatoes or 2 kinds of cooked vegetables. But the big meals are really just Sunday lunch, where they cook a lot. Hi, Irene. And George, hi, how are you? And, yeah. And my friend Fran was funny. She's been doing live videos for a really long time, and was like living all over the world while she was doing them. And she just showed me one of her videos that was so cute, where she went to flambe something and the flames came shooting up. So we'll try to avoid any of those things. But she was doing live, because then also she said, for herself, she would have contact with people and people to chit-chat with. And she was telling me then she would just flip the screen, and she would sit down and have dinner and talk to people after dinner about the recipes that she made, so she wasn't alone eating either. But I'm not going to do that, because I'm not going to eat this right now. We don't eat till like 8:30 or 9 o'clock. It's not even dark in the summer now. We have a lot of light, and it's just too hot. We're getting the first mosquitoes here. Okay, we're almost here. So I want to make sure again that they're flat so that they'll get glazed, and once the water boils off and it starts to glaze, we'll show you that. So I'm going to take the aluminum foil off the tomatoes now, okay? Hey George, do they do these rice stuffed tomatoes in Greece too? There's so many foods that are similar all around the Mediterranean. I lived in Greece in 1978 to 1979. That's when I first fell in love with the Mediterranean cooking. So you can see now, I can see that some of the rice is kind of puffing up here a little bit. You can't really tell, but the smells fabulous. I'm going to put them back in the oven, and the water will boil off, and they'll start to brown the top of the tomatoes, which I think makes them look really beautiful. I also usually like to cook in quantity and then save the extras in Ziploc bags and freeze things. So I have some days I don't have to cook at all. I can just reheat things. I don't have a microwave. This is the kitchen. This is it. Okay. So I have these shelves right here, and I have my sink and my plates are on the other side. And that's it. So we don't have a lot of things. So when I cook, this is it. Just got a 4-burner stove. When I had the cooking school, I had 5 burners, because we would do more dishes always for the cooking class. Yeah, tomatoes. So George, people are asking me too. You make really good olive oil from Greece. Can you put your link here? Angela, you were asking about really good olive oil. Does it have to be Italian? George has this killer olive oil, which makes you beautiful also. So yeah. And you're in San Francisco, George, right? So people could just get it from there. He just won a prize in Greece for his olive oil. Okay. So I don't know if you could see. Remember how they were so white? Now can you see how they're getting really they're absorbing the color here and getting let me see if I can get that translucent. They're really changing. There. Really changing and absorbing the color. So you don't have to sit here and stir them just because you guys are here. I'm doing that. You know what I love too? I'm a junkie for olive oils and vinegars. So, and everything. You know, when you cook from different countries too, I think that there's good oil from almost everywhere when you buy the good oil. Like a lot of people complain, oh, I don't use Spanish oil, I don't use French oil, I don't use Moroccan oil. Good oil is good oil. If it's been prepared with care, it usually matches the cuisine of where you're cooking. So even Tuscan oil, for me, it's really, really, really strong. And when I first came here, I would put it on like I did a regular oil, and seriously, it made me like gag and throw up because it was too strong for me. I wasn't tasting it, I was just measuring it using, a recipe. So now, once you know what something tastes like, you know how much salt to throw in the water, you know how much olive oil to drizzle on something. But even in Italy, the olive oil from Liguria, which is by the sea and they eat a lot of vegetables, is much lighter. There's an olive oil from northern Italy up at Lake Garda, which is very, very light, and they eat fish. The Sicilian oil is much lighter too, again, another seafood thing. The Pugliese oil, they tend to have they tend to make the oil from riper olives. The Tuscan oil is made from usually olives that are still a little bit green, so it tends to be a really peppery oil. But then remember too, like there's no salt in our bread, so the food tends to be really salty. And there's, we don't really use pepper when we're cooking, so the olive oil then is also our pepper. Marcello has on, yeah. Oh, hi Rita. I was just telling somebody about your olive oil. Rita Salvadori, who's on here right now, you guys, is my chili pepper queen from Tuscany. And her dad supplies olive oil to a company in America. So we know that they get really good oil. And Rita, I think, this year is going to start making a chili pepper oil. She has 80,000 chili pepper plants down in Maremma. And she also has, her product is at Italy and America. It's called Peperita. Rita and Peperoncino. And let me show you one of the products I have I really love. I'm almost out. It's time for me to go shopping again. So she sells this. Hi, Alice. It's a sea salt with black pepper, I think turmeric and chili. Rita, are you still here? Can you tell us about this? You can't find George's oil in LA? We have to work on that, huh? So this is a salt grinder. So it's a big sea salt, black peppercorns, and I think turmeric and chili pepper. So I just put this, I don't have to flavor anything, I just put that on afterwards. Oh, here, can you hear my onions now? They're starting to sizzle a little bit because the water's evaporating and the liquid's becoming almost like a syrup now. So now you really do want to flip the onions and make sure they caramelize. Okay? And I can smell the tomatoes roasting now. Let me bring you right over here for a second, okay? Hold on. Let me see if you can. I don't know how to do this backwards. Just let me flip this for a second. Okay? Oops. I did it twice. Hold on. So can you see those now? Can you see how this is really getting thicker? And so this is really going to glaze these now. Yes, that's George. Ariana Trading Company. Good going, Angela. You're good. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to watch these for a second now. Okay, and you'll see how quickly these are going to glaze. Okay, I'm going to just taste this one more time. Oh, yeah, oh my God. I can't tell you how much stronger this got The chili pepper now, oh my God. It's burning my throat. I love it. And it's also important how you season something is whether you're going to eat it hot or cold. Okay, if you're eating something cold, it kind of needs to be over-seasoned a little bit because the flavors get flat in the refrigerator. You see how pretty these are? So they're almost done. And let me just show you my knife. Yeah, I don't know if you can really tell, but the knife just goes right. Can you see these even like the bouncy? The knife goes right in there, which means they're cooked all the way through, all these. And you can see how beautiful then this little caramelized piece is getting right there. So it's almost like they're candying. But you've got the vinegar, the chili, and the salt to counterbalance the sugar. So the sugar helps give you the glaze. Yeah, if you want to make people happy, make these. But even like I said, this is like onion jam. If you sliced a really nice those sweet red onions, you would do it like the same way. Lots of water, sugar, vinegar, a little bit of chili always, I think, and salt. And then you just cook it down so it starts to caramelize. That's beautiful with like pecorino cheese, okay? Look at that. So then, like right now, if I tasted it and it wasn't, didn't have enough chili or didn't have enough vinegar, I would tweak it right now. And if they weren't cooked, I'd add a little more water. But you saw I started out really with a lot of water. And now see how they're glazing, how beautiful this is? When I taught my cooking classes to the college kids here, thank you, Angela. If you do post, that'd be really nice. Yeah, it's nice to share the pictures, you guys, if you do make it. I would do this with paper-thin chicken breasts. I would take a chicken breast and cut it into 3 scallopini and cook it with sage leaves. And then I would do these sweet and sour onions, and with some of this sauce, oh, it was so good. It was really, really beautiful. So you can leave this like this. But I like to take it so that they really get glazed. So I'm just going to stop fussing for a minute here. That's hard for me to do with these. Okay. They're almost done. Look, almost all that glaze is gone. Okay, so like I said, this also would be really nice with balsamic vinegars, how they do them in Modena. They actually kind of preserve them like that, and they keep them in jars, and they serve them with like their boiled meat dinners, like a pickled. See how pretty? I love these so much. They get that beautiful color. So it's, you know, it's an act of love. You don't have to stand here and stir them like I did, you know, when they boil. It's just at the very end you want to be sure that they're all glazing really nicely. David, I would use the Chertaldo onions. I've actually used the bulbs we get right now of the young ones and leaving them in big pieces like this, and I've done it. But in Chertaldo, the winter onions, which are the big ones in the red paper, make a beautiful onion jam. Yes. And it's, again, with the local sheep's milk cheese. David, when you're here in Chertaldo, are you actually in Chertaldo Alto, or do you live out in the countryside? There's a Sicilian cheesemaker up in the hills. He's at both the Saturday market and, I don't think he's at the Wednesday market anymore. He's at the Saturday market. And he has his own sheep, and he makes some beautiful cheeses that are nice with the red onion jam. Look, okay, can you see now how this is really, that's it. That's it, they're done. You see how beautifully they glaze now? We just have that tiny little glaze left at the end. Now, if I took this much farther, it's going to like get like hard candy almost, kind of, right? Look at those, okay? So those are the sweet and sour onions. Okay, now let's hang out here and let's see the tomatoes, okay? Let me just flip this around. I've just got someone trying to connect with me. Just a second there. Okay, let's get the tomatoes. See, I shouldn't have touched it there. Turn off my onions. And now you can see, we're taking the lid off, how beautiful these tomatoes get. See the little lids start to kind of caramelize and cook there? and I could see that they're popping up a little bit. The lids are popping off because the rice has swollen. So these are done too. I'm just going to turn these off and leave them in the oven, and then I'll post them, the pictures from when I serve them. I'm going to turn all this off now. So we're done. Thank you very much for coming. I'll see you later. And post pictures if you make them. And if you have any ideas of what we should make next, remember it's summer. Oh, you know what I'd like to make is peperonata or caponata. The red pepper is also a sweet and sour stew we made with all the different peppers and onions and with capers. Or caponata, which has the eggplant, celery, olives, capers. So I'll think about that. Okay? Thanks a lot for coming. Ciao, ciao.